So this week we're going to read a story called From Seed to Plant. It goes along with the story you read about sprouts. So we'll start off like we always do with our vocabulary words for the week. The first one is grain, and this means tiny particle, like a piece of sand, a grain of sand. So something that's small, like thinking about just one single piece of rice. The second word is pod. So a pod is a soft shell that holds seeds. So in this picture we see like peas are held in a pod, and then to eat them you open up the pod and they're inside. The third word is soak. So soak means that something gets very wet. So like if you're going to soak a plant, that means that you got to give it a lot of water. It's going to get really wet. The next word is soften or soften, which means that you make something soft. So if you have to soften, here it says soften the noodles. So like when you make spaghetti might be hard, and to make the noodles soft you put them in hot water. The next word is root. So a root is part of a plant that is underground and soaks up the water. So the roots, you can kind of see them in this picture, they go into the ground, and that's what soaks up the water up into the top part of the plant. The next word is shoot. So this type of shoot is part of a young plant, so like a baby plant, that grows straight up from a seed. So it's what comes up first. The next word is nutrition. So nutrition is part of the food that's going to be good for your health. So like taking vitamins or eating vegetables and fruits, nutrition is something that's good for your health. And the last word is tasty, and tasty means that something has good flavor. So our target skill this week is text and graphic features. That means that the author is going to label the pictures. They might give they're going to give real pictures, charts, diagrams, things that we can read to learn more about the illustrations or photographs in the story. So text features help make something stand out in the text, something that's important and that you need to understand. So a text feature or a graphic feature will help you understand more. So our previewing topic is about life cycles. So it says, when you look up at a giant tree, it is hard to imagine that it was once a tiny seed. It was, though. The seed was in the ground. Sunlight and rain helped it to grow. The seed was small at first, but then it grew and grew. After years of growing, it became a full-grown tree. When seeds fall from the tree, more trees will grow. This is the tree's life cycle. Many plants grow this way. You will read more about how plants grow in From Seed to Plant. So the story is From Seed to Plant. It was written and illustrated by Gail Gibbons. It's an informational text. That means it's going to give us real facts. It is nonfiction, which means that it's real. Informational texts give facts and information about a topic. The topic of this story is what happens from a seed to a plant. What happens in between. Most plants make seeds. A seed contains the beginning of a new plant. Seeds are different shapes, sizes, and colors. All seeds grow into the same kind of plant that made them. Many plants grow flowers. Flowers are where most seeds begin. So if we look, we have a tulip, a daisy, rose, a pea plant, buttercup, and corn. So these are some graphic features. They're labeling the plants for us. Something that all of these things have in common is that they all have flowers and they all have green leaves and stems. So all of them have that in common. What they have that's different is different types of flowers. They're different sizes. They have different types of stems or leaves. Okay. A flower is made up of many parts. So these are the parts of a flower. So it says at the bottom of the pistil are tiny egg cells called ovules. So these are the ovules. In the center of the flower is the pistil. So this is the pistil. The sticky part at the top of the pistil is the stigma, so where it's sticky on the flower. Stamens make yellow powder called pollen. So we have the stamens on the outsides. Those are what the pollen is on. It's what comes off if you touch a flower. This is the flower's petal. The parts of the flower around the pistil are the stamens, which are these. And then we have the sepal, and we have the stem. Before a seed can begin to grow, a grain of pollen from the stamen must land on the stigma at the top of the pistil of a flower like itself. This is called pollination. Pollination happens in different ways. Often, wind blows pollen from flower to flower. Bees, other insects, and hummingbirds help pollinate too. While they visit flowers for their sweet juice called nectar, pollen rubs onto their bodies. Then they carry the pollen to another flower where it comes off onto its pistil. So, like a bee, if you ever look at a bee really closely, they look furry. Their legs are look furry. It's because they land on a flower and the pollen collects on like their legs, and then they'll fly to another flower and some of that comes off. So that's how they help pollinate flowers. So then we get more flowers. If a pollen grain from a flower lands on the pistil of the same kind of flower, it grows a long tube through the pistil into an ovule. This is the beginning of a seed. The seeds grow inside the flower, even as the flower begins to die. As the seeds become bigger, a fruit or pod grows around them. The fruit or pod protects the seed. So the reason why we have fruit is because the fruit is growing around the seed to protect it, so it doesn't get hurt or eaten. So the fruit is what's protecting it. When the fruit or pod ripens, it breaks open. The seeds are ready to become new plants. Some seeds fall to the ground around the base of the plant where they will grow. Some pods or fruits open and the seeds pop out. Sometimes when birds eat berries, they drop the seeds. Other seeds fall into streams, ponds, rivers, or the ocean. There they travel on the water until they stick to dirt along a shore. The wind scatters seeds. Some seeds have fluff on them, and that lets them float to the ground like tiny parachutes. Others have wings that spin as they fall. So when we think about those fluffy dandelions, after they're yellow, they turn white, and we blow on them and make a wish. Those are seeds. They're going off, and it takes somebody either touching them or us blowing on them to fly off and go and make another plant. We learned at the beginning of the year that when we did our rock unit, that streams, ponds, and rivers in the ocean also help things travel down and move, so it moves seeds as well. Animals help scatter seeds too. They hide acorns and nuts in the ground. Some seeds have hooks that stick to the fur of animals or people's clothes. Later, they drop off onto the ground. So, what might happen if the seeds were not scattered all around? Maybe the seeds might not reach a good place to grow and they won't become new plants. If you've ever seen these like sticky kind of things like attached to your pant legs or your socks really bad, or an animal like a dog might go through grass and get something attached on them. Those seeds have sticky things or little hooks on them, so they can be spread around. A flower bed or vegetable garden is beautiful. Seeds are planted to grow in the gardens. The seeds come in small envelopes or boxes. Directions explain how to plant the seeds and care for the plants. The beginning of a plant is curled up inside each seed. Food is stored inside the seed too. The seed has a seed coat on the outside to protect it. So this is a bean seed, and the beginning of the plant is inside of it, and then on the outside is its like seed coat. And when the beginning of the plant is ready, it will break through this seed coat and form a new plant. A seed will not sprout until certain things happen. First, it must be on or in the soil. Then it needs rain to soak the seed and soften its seed coat. So this needs to be softened before it can break open by water. When the sun shines and warms the ground, the seed coat breaks open and the seed begins to grow. This is called germination. A root grows down into the soil. The root takes in water and minerals from the soil for food. So the seed goes in the ground, and then it gets water and it breaks open, so the seed starts to grow. And then the roots go further down into the ground so they can get water and also like minerals that the seeds need to help them grow, kind of like a vitamin for a plant. Up grows a shoot. Green leaves grow up from the shoot towards the sun. The plant grows bigger and bigger. The leaves make food for the plant from the water and minerals in the soil, the sunlight, and the air all around the plant. So, as the shoot gets bigger, then you start to see leaves. And then from the leaves, that's what helps make the plant food so it can grow. It takes in the sunlight and the air and the water from the ground to help a plant grow. Finally, the plant is full grown. Buds on the plant open into flowers where new seeds will grow. So the plant is gotten big now, and now it has flowers, and flowers will then turn into seeds. And then from there, the seeds will drop to the ground and the cycle will begin again. That's why it's called a life cycle, because it goes in a circle, and starts over. New life starts from old life. Many of the foods people eat are seeds, fruits, and pods. They are full of nutrition, vitamins, and minerals, and they are tasty too. So when you're eating your fruits and vegetables, think about what it started out as. It started out as a tiny little seed and grew into something that's delicious, that you eat, that's good for you. A from seed to plant project. So this is something that if you wanted to do it, you could do it. And you don't need a lot for it. You just need a glass jar, a black piece of paper or construction paper of any color, and seeds and water. So it says, how to raise bean plants. Find a clean glass jar. Take a piece of black construction paper and roll it up. 2. Slide the paper into the jar. Fill the jar with water. So you're going to take the black paper and it's going to kind of outline the glass jar. And then you're going to fill it with water. Wedge the bean seeds between the black paper and the glass. Put the jar in a warm place. So you're going to put the beans in between the glass and the black piece of paper, or whatever color paper you have. That way you can see the beans. In a few days, the seeds will begin to sprout. Watch the roots grow down. The shoots will grow up. So roots grow down and shoots grow up. Watching your bean seeds while they sprout. So you read the story about sprouts. So this is the sprout. It's the beginning young part of a plant. Caring for your bean plants. Put dirt into a big clay pot. 6. Carefully remove the small plants from the glass jar. Place them in the soil, covering them up to the base of their shoots. And 7. Water them and watch them grow. So, basic steps to growing any kind of plant, not just a bean plant. You could grow different kinds of fruits or vegetables. Okay, so now that we have read this story, you have questions in your Orange Write and Reader that you can answer. Remember, you can follow along reading with me. You can read the story afterwards. You can read it as many times as you like. We're just practicing our reading with a person in your house, or by yourself, or to an animal or a stuffed animal. Just remember to keep practicing your reading, and I will see you again next week.